about a community resource center that offers prevention and family counseling services. And an expert on Kendra's law tells us about Suffolk County's assisted outpatient treatment program.
We've seen people reconnect with family members. You know, relationships that might have been destroyed in part due to the mental illness have now been put back together, and they're reconnecting with loved ones. A lot of the people under Kendra's law are able to go back to work or go back to school or just pursue whatever goals, personal goals they may have.
And we revisit the segment on sober homes. Hello, I'm Flescher from Suffolk County Health Department's Division of Community Mental Hygiene. I'm your host for Something of Substance, our monthly video magazine. Welcome back. Each month we show how substance abuse, mental illness, and developmental delays affect you, your kids, and your community. We'll also give you a few examples of how services in Suffolk County help people find the inner resources they need to tackle their problems.
Before, addiction and depression kept me from living my life. And now, every step I take in recovery benefits everyone. There are many options that make the road to recovery more accessible. It begins with the first step. Join the Voices for Recovery.
The YMCA in Holtsville is part of a network of agencies dedicated to strengthening the foundation of the community. We were able to visit them at a recent open house to have them tell us about some of the programs they offer.
Today's open house is really geared to make everyone aware that we have moved to Holtsville. We're now located at 1150 Portion Road in Holtsville, and we're looking to let the community and all the different agencies know that we're here.
The YMCA of Long Island is for youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility. And this Family Services Division branch packages all of that in together in a different way that our other full-service branches with swimming pools and childcare can't offer. This does anti-bullying, parenting classes, prevention and treatment, and it catches another segment of the population.
Today at the open house, we're looking to have a variety of different people attend. We have the Town of Brookhaven supervisor will attend. We have different people in the community that will be attending, plus some of our funders who are county and state level, and also looking to have people who refer clients to us. So probation, CPS, AFI, all sorts of different agencies that will be referring clients.
The goal for today was to network with the community, let the community know that we are here, that we have lots of services. We do substance abuse counseling, prevention services for community members, youth. We go into schools, do Too Good for Drugs and Too Good for Violence. But again, the goal for this open house today is to let the community know that we're here and we have lots of services to offer.
At the YMCA, CASACs provide treatment to people who have substance abuse addictions. And they enter our groups. They have individual counseling, we have anger stress management, and we try to help people change behaviors that, and to live a drug and alcohol-free life.
I run groups during the week, and I do individual counseling. I do intake assessments and ongoing assessments, encompassing psychosocial, legal, social issues, various issues.
As the billing manager, I am responsible for meeting with our patients, processing their Medicaid and their claims for their services here at the YMCA. I also work with the patients that have financial hardships to assist them in lowering their fees so that it's more affordable to get treatment and care.
So some of the programs that we have here at the YMCA Family Service Branch are addiction services, so anything from regular recovery groups to a women's track, to a DWI track, to anger management, stress management, vocational education type of track, different programs like a modified IOP where we're looking at the whole self, so we're looking into nutrition, health care and things of that nature, as well as their sobriety. So we have several different types of things, plus the individual counseling and family counseling.
At the Y, my job entails anything my boss really deems necessary, which is run all over the island at our full-service branches and also our family service branch, overseeing the operations, budgeting, staffing, member service, and treatment prevention services.
Today we are trying to showcase all the activities that we will be offering for the community, and we support the programs in local school districts by providing prevention programs and education.
So in our prevention program, we have not only school-based programs where we go into the school districts and are in part of the classes, but we also have different seminars that we do in the community on gambling, on heroin, on anti-bullying.
So as the prevention director, I provide services to the community and local school districts. We go into the schools and provide programs such as Too Good for Drugs and Too Good for Violence, which are evidence-based programs. These programs are interactive lessons that are age appropriate, which have a parent component so the parents can interact with their children in a positive way.
Prevention in itself is so important just because young students need to know about this. They have family members, brothers, sisters, moms, dads, anyone having problems. They know about it. It's not a secret to them, and they should be educated to know what not to do, that there's resources out there to help them.
Prevention is so important because it starts, getting into the schools at a young age so that children can learn about the different things that are out there, what to stay away from, making healthy choices. And the hopes is that that we don't see them on the other end in the mandated population. And some of these children have things that are going on in their family and nobody else to talk to, and we come into the schools, the prevention department, and they are open to speaking to these kids, and sometimes it's the first person that they actually have in their life that is understanding and willing to talk to them about this disease on a level that they can understand and guide them in the right direction.
We do a big program during the summer where we try and hit different town camps as well as YMCA camps that really teach the kids all the way from kiddie camp, which are 4-year-olds, all the way up to our CITs, counselors in training, and also staff on anti-bullying.
Prevention is so important because it gives children the skills that are going to help them be strong and resilient throughout their life.
And then thirdly, our diversion program is really focused on youth counseling to kind of help children give that support when maybe there's a divorce or anxiety or some kind of family issue that they need support in.
It was very important for me to be here today to support the Y in their new location. They do excellent service for adolescents and adults and in the community. The Y has always been there and part of the Long Island community servicing the various needs, and their services are unmatched.
It's important to have an agency in the community like the Y so that people who need resources will have somewhere close by to go. We're experiencing a heroin epidemic right now on Long Island. It's very important to have treatment services right there so that they have some place to turn.
A lot of people that come to the YMCA don't really know that we have a facility that offers substance abuse counseling or counseling services for people that are, suffering from various issues or stressors within their lives.
For the past 20 years, I've been doing this job, and I've seen the results of what we've been working with the children and their families to promote positive, healthy living skills.
The mission of the YMCA is really about healthy living, social responsibility, and youth development. The programs we offer here meet all of those needs, which is a healthy lifestyle, youth development and creating good leaders in the community, and social responsibility, helping those who are in need.
Working with the Y is better than any other job I could imagine. It's changing people's lives. It's really getting in there, making a difference, and the whole community benefits.
We'd like to thank the dedicated staff of the YMCA for welcoming us. For more information about the YMCA and the various programs and services they offer, please contact them at 631-580-7777 or visit their website at ymcali.org. Up next, we have an informative interview with an expert on Suffolk County's assisted outpatient treatment program. We'll be right back.
Who else has been taking your prescriptions? Keep your medicine and your family safe and secure. Mind your meds. To learn how, visit the partnership at drugfree.org.
In 1999, New York State enacted an important piece of legislation known as Kendra's Law. It provides a mandate to local government to assist individuals with mental illness in getting important, needed treatment. Here to tell us about assisted outpatient treatment is the coordinator of Suffolk County's program. Thank you for coming in today, Janine.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Great. Why don't we start with, tell us about Kendra's Law. What is it and how did it begin?
Kendra's Law began in 1999, and it's named after Kendra Webdale, who was a young woman who lived in New York City and unfortunately was killed when she was thrown onto the subway tracks by a man named Andrew Goldstein, who did have paranoid schizophrenia. He had been treated in the past, but unfortunately at the time of the incident he was off his medication, psychiatric medication, and he was hearing voices and telling him to do this, and she lost her life. Her mother worked with the New York State Legislature to get Kendra's Law passed, which Governor Pataki signed it into law in 1999, and it provides for assisted outpatient treatment, which is court-ordered outpatient psychiatric treatment for people with serious and persistent mental illness.
Is Kendra's Law intended for all people with mental illness or only certain people?
No, only certain people. There's specific criteria that someone would have to meet for the program, and basically it's people that have been diagnosed with a severe mental illness and have become non-compliant with their treatment for various reasons, and they have to have criteria, basically 2 hospitalizations within the last 3 years due to the non-compliance, or 1 act of violence toward themselves or others within the last 4 years, and again that act of violence has to have been due to non-compliance with psychiatric medication or treatment.
Okay, so because people are non-compliant, in other words, not medicated or not receiving the care they need, sometimes they behave in erratic and difficult ways. But the reality is, most people with mental illness are not violent towards other people, correct?
That is true. That's absolutely true. Yes, that's a myth, and that's not really what we see in most people with mental illness. Even at times when they are non-compliant, most of them are not doing serious acts of violence, but some of them do, and this program can really help to try to keep people in the community safely.
And I've often thought of Kendra's Law as also holding the care delivery system accountable.
Absolutely.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, people that are resistant to treatment are often not the best patients. They might skip, visits, their attendance is poor, they don't call when they miss appointments, and they get lost to contact, so to speak. And treatment providers find this difficult. So Kendra's Law really holds providers accountable as well. We set up a treatment plan. Not only does the client have to follow the treatment plan, but the provider has to make sure that they maintain treatment with the patient, even at times when they miss visits. They're outreaching the patient. They're making sure that the follow-up is there so that they don't get lost in the system.
And for the individual who's going to go under court order, they actually go to court and then they go before a judge, correct?
Correct. If we do petition the court for an AOT order, the patient has a mental hygiene legal service attorney to represent them, and they can come to court if they choose to. And they are an active participant in the treatment plan. We always take the individual needs of the client into consideration to see, what has worked, what hasn't worked, and why. And then we try to develop the best individualized treatment plan for that particular patient.
And then once the court order is in place, how do you monitor and how do you work with the individual to make sure that it's helping them?
Each AOT patient has a care coordinator, which is either an ACT team, assertive community treatment, or an intensive case manager. That person is responsible for seeing the patient in the community and then reporting back to the AOT office weekly. This is done by written reports, and they basically talk about, what's working with the plan, what isn't working, what needs, to be changed, modified, adjusted, so that the plan can really be set up to help the client in recovery. We never try to set up plans that are going to, not work out for whatever reason. We have to take many things into consideration, including their insurance, and where they live. Some clients are in private housing, some are in spa housing, which is housing that's offered for the mentally ill in Suffolk County. So we take everybody into account, what their needs are, what their individualized needs are, and then the care coordinator will monitor the patient and report back to the AOT office.
And have you seen this program to be effective for people?
We have. There's quite a bit of people over the years that have really benefited from the program, and even though initially they may feel that it does restrict them in some ways and they might not be on board with it in the beginning, after time, when they're more stabilized and they see the benefits themselves of being in a consistent residence, of having a care coordinator to rely on to help them with their goals, a lot of the clients later on say that they needed it, and they are thankful for the program, that it did help them stay out of maybe jail or prison or out of the hospital. We've seen people reconnect with family members. Relationships that might have been destroyed in part due to the mental illness have now been put back together, and they're reconnecting with loved ones. A lot of the people under Kendra's law are able to go back to work or go back to school or just pursue whatever personal goals they may have.
Sounds great. I know that a lot of viewers, perhaps, that have a loved one with mental illness that maybe they're concerned about, they're hearing this and going, oh, that sounds great. I'd love to get my loved one involved. But we first need to say that for most people, we prefer to work with them voluntarily outside of the court system and everything else. But for those that would be eligible or might be eligible, how might they go about that if a loved one was watching and said, I want to know more about this?
They can give us a call. We have many staff members willing to help. The number is 631-853-6205. And we also have our AOT application on the internet on the Suffolk County Division of Mental Hygiene website. It will say court-ordered treatment. They can click on that and take a look at the application and see if it's something that applies to their situation.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
We'd like to thank Janine for educating us about this important program. Up next, we revisit the archive segment on sober homes. Stay tuned.
They'll be fine, I hope.
What if you could prevent a young person from getting hurt or killed?
What should I do?
If you could turn back the clock and stop an underage drinking party from ever happening. Now you can. Pick up the phone and call 1-866-UNDER-21. It's your community, your call, and it's completely anonymous.
Seeking recovery from substance abuse can be a daunting challenge, especially when a safe environment to do so is not available. In our archive segment, we explore the criteria and the benefits of a properly operated sober home.
Sober home is a residence, an affordable residence, for people with substance abuse problems who are in desperate need of housing and need some time, really, to develop their recovery from their addiction.
My drinking habits in Texas kind of got the better of me in an early age.
Well, my past history, basically, I had alcohol, drug abuse problems.
I was drinking all day long, 7 days, 24 hours a day, drinking. I'd wake up in the middle of the night just to take another slug. And I was killing myself on the installment plan.
I'm in the process of getting my life back together, seeing the world through the eyes of sobriety as opposed to, drug and alcohol.
The criteria to be admitted to our sober house is pretty simple. You have to be a male, you can't mix genders, and you have to have an identified diagnosis of a substance abuse disorder.
It's a matter of life and death, actually. It really is. It's no joke. I mean, I've got a good sense of humor, but alcohol is just no joke at all.
About the age of 35, I got introduced to OxyContin, and along with other drugs and alcohol, it just took me out really fast. And
there are no official regulatory guidelines to open or operate a sober home anywhere in the state. On a local level, state level, federal level, there is no such legal entity known as a sober home. It's actually something that is more indigenous to Suffolk County more than anywhere else in the state.
As the house manager, I have day-to-day responsibility for the sober house, which means I oversee everything that goes on in the sober house on a daily basis.
We have rules in terms of curfews, doing chores, going to treatment, things along those lines, which mainly work through the house manager, and if there's a problem, then I get alerted to it.
Trying to make sure that on a daily basis everybody's getting to their treatment facility at Quanticut Outpatient. All of our residents are required to attend treatment at Quanticut Outpatient.
As director of East Long Island Hospital, we run several outpatient programs, and the sober house of East Long Island Hospital is one of them. So in my duties of running that house, or that house reporting to me, it's very much an administrative job, what I do.
I do the screenings, and the final decision is made by the clinic director, David Cohen.
My first and foremost is to make sure that whatever hospital procedures and policies need to be in place are followed, and the protocols are followed in the house. After that, I have basically would be almost any normal other administrative duties in terms of hiring personnel, purchases for the house. I work very closely with a division in the hospital that takes care of the environment of the actual house, to make sure the environment itself, the physical environment, is up to codes and is really appropriate for people to live in. And then the other piece I really have is in terms of people coming in and out of the house. I have the final approval on who's admitted into the house, who's discharged from the house, and then it's basically, after that's day-to-day monitoring.
Then ultimately, if the individual is selected to come into the sober house, I meet him here, and then we go through an awful lot of paperwork. We do the screening, of course. We do a contract.
Every resident who comes into the house signs a contract, policies and procedures, if you will. That it's pretty extensive, actually, and there's a number of things they have to follow and do. Some of them are extremely more important than others. The biggest one is to stay clean, stay sober.
The contract is basically a two-page document that spells out all the rules and regulations in living at this house. The most important ones being remain abstinent while you're here, follow all the rules and regulations while you're here, attend treatment. That's the critical piece, to make sure they're meeting every one of their individual and group counseling sessions. And they do the chores, and no violence, no threats, obviously no liquor or anything of that nature in the house. The visitors, they are allowed to have visitors, but it's got to be in the common area.
And one of the kind of balances to a sober house is you have our house is 10 men, 10-bed house, but if one person uses, that could set the risk up for everybody else in the house. So a good house, like our house, has to have a zero tolerance policy. If somebody uses, intentionally or not, they have to leave the house. That's an immediate thing. So that is the number one protocol for a house, is to make sure everyone in the house is quote unquote sober.
Eastern Long Island Hospital has just been the most important thing in my life actually right now, because they're teaching me how to live in sobriety.
In any treatment facility, such as ours, especially an outpatient facility, drug testing is a regular tool that's being used. In the house we do it too, but you got to remember these people are in treatment, so they're getting random drug testing, sometimes supervised, some not. Some of this drug testing is pretty sophisticated. We can now pretty well test for alcohol, which in the past we couldn't. So we have a new drug test that actually gets alcohol pretty well amongst 10 other types of classifications of drugs.
I have responsibility for now and again to do supervised urines on individuals here, unannounced breathalyzers on our residents here. That's really our primary objective, is to make sure they have a clean living environment, that they're living in such a way that they can meet their needs, hopefully mentally, physically, and spiritually, attend treatment, and above all, to remain abstinent while they're here.
Thanks to the sober house, and it is a sober house. Everybody in this house I can pretty well guarantee is sober and clean.
It's affected my life definitely in positive ways. I feel very fortunate that I'm here. I hear a lot about other sober houses. A lot of them don't have a very good reputation. I'm fortunate that I'm in this one that's affiliated with the Eastern Long Island Hospital.
It's like a country and western song played in reverse. I got my girl back, I got my dog back, and I got my truck back. And I got my license back, and I got my sanity back.
It's kept me sober, and it's basically given me a chance to get back on my feet and, get going with my life again.
It's living with people that have a common denominator with me. Everybody wakes up as a different person, but we all go to bed here in the sober house pretty much on the same level, and that's sober and clean.
Two real main goals. One is getting clean and sober and staying sober and learning how to do that. And the other one is hopefully to move them in the right direction in terms of the living situation.
We make every effort to make sure all our men are clean and sober, abstinent, while living in this house.
For information about sober homes, contact Eastern Long Island Hospital at area code 631-477-1000. We'd like to thank our viewers for tuning in to Something of Substance. Our video magazine is a public resource, and we're eager to hear your feedback, as well as any suggestions you may have for future show topics. For all inquiries and concerns, please contact me at art.flescher@suffolkcountiny.gov. I'm your host, Art Flescher. Join us again next month for more of Something of Substance.
Who else has been taking your prescriptions? Keep your medicine and your family safe and secure. Mind your meds. To learn how, visit the partnership at drugfree.org.